Appreciate it.
This is great. Now you can say you were not only in the book, but you're on the podcast, right?
True.
You've been a lawyer for,
Close, just short of 50 years.
and you came to East Lansing from Flint.
I came, correct.
I don't know much about your childhood, but you grew up in Flint, Michigan.
I grew up in Flint, Michigan. I was the son of two 100% Greek parents, and my four grandparents came from Greece. And my father ultimately was a beer distributor in Flint, Michigan.
Did he own the distribution company?
Tom Heos Beer Distributors. He started off with Altus Beer, and that branched over to Blatz that took over. And he had that for right up until 1973.
That's a pretty good business today. I don't know what it was like in the 50s and 60s.
When the shops were working, it was great. But when they went on strike, the whole city of Flint shut down.
Nobody was drinking.
Nobody could afford to.
Right. So your family comes to Flint, and do you ever ask them, why the hell did you come to Flint? Why didn't you go to Boston or Miami or stay in New York or any other place? Because I know that the Lebanese have asked that. Why come to Lansing?
I don't know why my grandfather, James Heos, came to Flint, but he came alone from Greece. And he opened up a restaurant. Then he went back to Greece and brought back my two aunts. And they lived in Woodstock, Ontario, Canada. And my grandfather was shuttling back and forth from Flint to Woodstock. They had relatives in Woodstock.
To run the restaurant?
Yes, that's what he was doing. My Uncle Pete, who's a year older than my dad, and my dad were born in Woodstock.
Okay.
And then when they moved to Flint, my dad, I think, was about a year old. And then following that, in Flint, a younger sister was born, Helen.
Your sister?
No, my dad's sister.
Oh, your dad's sister. And then he comes to Flint and starts the beer distribution business?
I think we've jumped ahead about 30 years.
Yeah, okay.
So my mother was born in Chicago. Her parents came from Greece. My dad's side of the family came from Sparta. My mother's side of the family came from Messina. They were fixed up on a blind date by her sister and her husband. And my parents got married in 1946. And then I came in 1947.
So probably about a year later or less.
Yeah, about a year after they got married. Mm-hmm. And
were they married in Flint?
they were married in Detroit because she had moved from Chicago to Detroit when she was a girl, a young girl.
And that's probably how the connection was made, because they were...
She skipped 2 grades and graduated from Detroit Northwestern in 1936. And my father went to Flint Central with his brother, but when their father died during the Depression, there were 2 sisters and a mother living. So my dad was a very large guy, as was my Uncle Pete. They lied about their age, dropped out of school, and got a job at Fisher Body in Flint.
Which was the birth of the middle class in many ways, right?
Absolutely.
You could make a living and pay your bills and buy a house and have a car and enjoy the weekends and working in the autos.
Yep. And my dad stayed there for a short period of time, maybe 5 or 6 years, at which point he went to work for a man named Augusto Franchi, who was the Pabst Brewing distributor in Flint. My dad stayed there for a while. He was there when he got married, at which point Altus Brewing Company asked him if he would be the manager of their local shop in Flint that was still owned by the brewery. About, I'd say 2 or 3 years later, they gave him the opportunity to buy the distributorship, which he did. And I worked in the warehouse all through high school.
So 47, 57, 65, you're 18, right? Roughly.
That's when I graduated from high school.
Right.
It's
And
1965.
what high school did you go to?
We moved, and I went to Grand Blanc High School.
So, you're growing up in the 50s in Flint for the most part, right?
50s and 60s, yeah.
Junior high, high school, and
Yep.
the race issues are
Yep.
predominantly, but it's not really the protest era yet. I think Rosa Parks was 55,
Yeah.
and so what's that like growing up in Flint, which is nobody would foresee what it is today, but it was
No.
really a booming city.
It was the second largest city in the state, and it truly was booming. I went to elementary school and junior high school with a lot of black kids. I mean, they were just there, and they were friends. I mean,
Right.
and by the way, so did my father. And as a matter of fact, my grandmother told a story that he would bring them home, and they would try to teach them Greek dancing in the living room of the house. So anyway, we lived on the west side of Flint. 1959, I get hit by a car right in front of the house.
Really?
We're waiting for my dad to come home from work. It's about 6:30 in the evening.
You would have been about 12.
4 days for my 12th birthday.
Right.
That night, the priest came in. They gave me last rites.
Wow.
I was in the hospital for 30 days and in a coma for 12 days, which explains my brain deficit. And then I was in a body cast that whole summer at home.
Yeah, and I mean, even in obviously in 59, today the injuries might not have been as severe, but the medical technology that we had was probably
No.
not great. And so if they were giving you last rites,
Yes,
I mean, it was probably, needed.
absolutely it was. The neurosurgeon called in, a man named Dr. Day, he said, what we need to do is drill holes in his head because his head is expanding so much,
Yeah.
taking in fluid.
A closed head injury,
But-
hematoma or something.
Yeah, but he said to my parents, I'm not going to do that because he's not going to make it through the night. I'm not going to put him through that. So I didn't have it done. Back then, there were no orthopedic surgeons. I had broken my femur, which is the bone between your knee and your hip,
The strongest or biggest bone in your
biggest
body?
bone in your body. And a general surgeon took care of that fracture. I also broke my collarbone because the woman literally ran over my body.
Probably the second most important bone because it protects all your internal organs, right?
Yeah, right. So, anyway, I went through that as a kid, and I still have the scars on my back and my back of my head to prove it.
And probably didn't sue anybody then either.
Yes.
Oh, you did?
Before he was a judge, Judge Yotis, a Greek fella in town who I'm going to go visit Sunday, was my lawyer, and I think I got $5,000
Really?
for my injuries, which I don't know if it was a big deal or not in 1959.
Yeah, and he got $1,300.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Well, I don't even know that he would have taken a fee.
so growing up, are you around any lawyers? Do you have cousins or friends or neighbors that are lawyers?
No, but that man I mentioned, Judge Yotis,
Right.
was like the only Greek in Flint at the church who was a professional. So as a result, several of us who he mentored ended up becoming lawyers.
So what does that mean? He mentored you? I mean,
Well,
obviously, at 12 years old, you're out playing in the park and
Yeah, I
you're
know.
working at the brewery, and
But when I'm in high school, I'm at his office, as are a bunch of other guys being gophers. And when he got appointed to the then municipal court, we'd stop by the municipal court and see him, and he was like our hero.
did you have like a Dimitri's that used to be downtown? I mean, did you have a place where you could go meet him for lunch or breakfast or whatever? Would he tell stories of?
No, we had several Coney Islands in Flint at the time, but there was no place like that was a gathering spot.
Where you could kind of know, like on Thursday, you go to the Philly Steakhouse and you see a bunch of people you know. I mean,
Right,
it wasn't like that.
No, not at all.
So tell me what you mean then by how he mentored you. I mean,
Well, he kind of showed us how the courts work, how lawsuits worked, what we would encounter after going to undergrad, and he was just kind of a guiding light. He was also our first basketball coach
in high
when
school.
we were in junior high school.
Oh, junior high.
No, in high school we all played for our schools.
Yeah.
But he was just great. He's now close to 96.
Wow.
And like I said, my wife and I are going to go visit him on Sunday, he and his wife.
So you graduate, and I assume your parents didn't go to college?
Oh, no. Like I said, my dad quit in 10th grade.
Right.
My mother went to work in one of those airplane building factories. She literally was Rosie the Riveter.
Right.
And she was 16 when she graduated from high school, right during World War II.
And did you play sports in high school, or?
Yes, baseball, basketball, and football.
Oh, so you played all three, and you went to Grand Blanc High School.
Yes.
So not quite in the downtown, but sort of back then it was probably considered a long ways from.
Yeah, it was probably 5 miles from the south side of Flint.
Like Okemos used to be here in town.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
But what? I mean, was it a foregone conclusion that you were going to go to college?
Yes. Yes.
And why is that?
It was because the ethnicity that all of the parents were given by their parents was education. Mm-hmm. And just about everybody that I went to and grew up with in the Greek community, they all went to college.
And did you have some kind of affection towards Michigan State at the time?
Yes, my dad became a season ticket holder for football. So
oh, really?
For years, we would drive from Flint and go to Michigan State football games.
And
I had an opportunity to go to Michigan. I was accepted.
Wow.
As well as Western, but no.
It was going to be Michigan State.
Yes, it was.
And you had siblings too, right?
I've got a sister who's 8 years younger than I am.
Okay, so that's a significant difference when you're 18, right?
Yes.
Because she's 10, and
Yeah.
It's less of a significance when you're old, like us.
Yes,
but,
like now.
but when you're 10, or she wasn't even born when you were in the car accident, right?
No, she was on the front porch with my mother.
Oh, okay.
She was 4 years old.
Oh, yeah, right.
You
were 12.
My mother and my sister saw me get hit.
Yeah.
Thrown in the air, land, and then the car drove over me.
Oh, man.
Yeah, wild.
Back then, you probably played in the streets at night.
That's exactly what we were doing. We were playing softball in the street.
Yeah.
And I was about 3 or 4 feet off the curb. And a little kid lived across the street, was sitting on the curb, and he said, "Jim, a car's coming." It's the last thing I remember.
So you're coming to Michigan State in '65, which is
Fall of '65.
and I don't know what, I assume Flint was relatively Democratic, liberal.
Yes.
But now you're coming to East Lansing.
Yes.
And I think East Lansing was dry.
It absolutely was dry.
Which is a completely different dynamic than people understand today, right?
Yes. In order for anybody to drink or buy packaged liquor or beer, they had to leave the city limits.
And so that's why you have Coral Gables, and at the time you had the Rainbow Ranch, and there was another bar and Philly Steakhouse and the Boom Boom Room, like Frandor.
No, Philly Steakhouse wasn't a bar, but
Wayfair, was a Wayfair there? Those bars there?
No, not at all.
What about
there was Odie's had a package store there,
right,
where guys would go to buy beer or buy kegs or whatever.
Right.
But basically everything was to the east side. Coral Gables, as you indicated,
Right.
the Dells on Lake Lansing,
Okay.
and Paul Revere's
Right.
further
Well,
down
right.
on Grand
Not
River.
too much further from.
No,
Right. What about Max Bar or Silver Dollar?
didn't exist.
Didn't exist. And 65 was sort of the glory time.
Glory
right?
time for football, absolutely.
And
A lot of those guys lived in my dorm, so I became very good friends with them.
And did you know what you were going to study?
Yes,
What?
I was going to major in pre-law to
And
get ready to go to
you
law
knew
school.
you were going to be a lawyer?
Yes,
You knew you were going to go to law school?
yes. I didn't know I was going to go twice, but I knew
What
that I
was
was going to go to law school.
was the was that just from Judge Yotis, or was
Yes.
there anything? Did your parents sit down and talk to you?
Not
or-
at all. As a matter of fact, my first cousin was a pharmacist, and I'd thought about pharmacy and going to Ferris State like he did. But he told me, he said, don't do it. He said, there's going to be large corporations that are going to come in and buy up all of us small operators.
small
And
pharmacists.
sure enough, Walgreens and Rite Aid and CVS and all those places.
The grocery stores.
So he was right. You don't see the small pharmacies much anymore.
And who was the group of, I assume mostly men that Yotis mentored that were your friends that also wanted to go and become lawyers? Who were those?
A fellow named John Pavlis, who's recently retired from the practice of law in Flint. A guy named Dan Stamus, unfortunately passed away. He was a career prosecuting attorney. Tim Bograkis became a lawyer. John Yannachi, doesn't sound Greek, but he was from Cyprus, his family. He became a lawyer, as did his brother, George Hamo. So, like I said, Yotis,
And Timbo Krakis has been around that long?
yeah, he's 76.
Oh, wow.
He's kind of been a career prosecutor,
Yeah,
too.
but you knew him back in the...
Oh, yeah, we played church basketball when we were in junior high school,
Oh, there you go.
and we were state champions.
So you come here, and what's it like coming to Michigan State? Because I assume, for the most part, your summers are spent working at the
warehouse.
warehouse, right?
Right.
And that's probably not an easy job. It's not air conditioned.
Oh, no. I came here and Case Hall wasn't air
Are
conditioned.
you driving truck and stuff like that?
Yeah, driving semi.
And making the deliveries of the kegs?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's not easy.
Well, when you're 16, 17, 18,
It's probably fun, but
yeah, you're in shape,
right.
And I remember I got paid $75 a week and this was
Wow.
a 6-day week.
Wow. Did you spend any time at summer camp, or were you just working?
Oh, no.
Right.
No.
You were working and playing in the park. And,
Worked and playing summer sports.
in the park or organized? I mean, you didn't do travel sports like they do today.
I don't even think there was such a thing.
Right.
No, it was organized through the city of Flint. The Mott Foundation just organized so many things for kids back then.
And so you come here in '65, and Duffy's here,
Yes.
and you want to study pre-law. And where are you living?
Case Hall.
Are you James Madison? Was that even existent? That
Didn't exist.
Okay.
And we had gone to Europe that summer. So I was,
We being you and your...
my entire family.
Yeah.
So I missed all of orientation.
Right, which couldn't have been that much back
It
then.
was like 3 days.
Yeah,
So I was in late orientation,
right.
like the week before school started. School didn't start up until about the 15th or 17th of September.
Right.
So I came, and rather than have all the incoming freshmen live together like they did all summer long, they placed us in our individual dormitories.
The ones you were actually going to
Live in
Right.
the exact room I was going to live in.
That's what happened to me.
So there was nobody.
18 years later.
Yeah, there was nobody on 5A, but on 5B was a black fella named Charles Pollard, who's a friend of mine today. taught with my wife at East Lansing High School.
There you go.
And he was a track guy from Virginia. He was a hurdler.
Wow.
And just a wonderful fella.
And I don't know how familiar you are with sort of the old time, but they sort of had redlining in East Lansing back then.
Wasn't aware of it.
But I think Bibbs might have been one of the first
Could have been.
African American. He would have been the track
Yes.
coach back then.
Track coach at East Lansing, too.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so tell me what that's like coming to East Lansing, and going to college here.
Well, like I said, I would come here often on weekends for football games.
Right.
So I knew of the enormity of the campus. And I was looking forward to it, and I loved it. I mean, those are the...
Who was the president back then?
John Hanna.
Yeah.
Until Richard Nixon appointed him. And then he became, ambassador to South Africa or something like
really?
that. Yeah.
Did you ever meet Duffy
Yes.
at when you were in school or not?
Yes.
How'd that come about?
I was in Jennison Fieldhouse talking to Bert Smith, who was assistant athletic director, about going out for the golf team.
There you go.
And Bert Smith was someone that my family knew. So I made an appointment. I went and saw him. That was early on, right at the beginning of, and Duffy walked in the office. That was my only meeting
Really?
with him. Yeah.
What did you play any sports here at Michigan State?
Just intramural. I played every intramural sport.
Right, which is pretty
available.
pretty serious. I mean, that's a lot of fun,
Yeah, it was. It was a riot.
and a lot of good athletes do the intramural.
Yep.
I mean, the basketball is pretty serious, and so you graduate in '69.
No, I graduated I graduated in December of '69 because in my junior year, like the Friday before finals week, I went to what became the Scofus restaurant on South Cedar.
Right, Greeks.
He had a bar called it was where the train trestle is on Saginaw, Sportsman's.
Okay.
So he never checked ID. So we would go there from the time we were freshmen. And so I went there, and for my first time in my life, I drank dark beer. I woke up the next morning, and I had just a tremendous pain in my side. And it was lasting all day. And then I realized that I had a little fever. So I walked over to Olin Health Center, and they said, your appendix is bursting.
Oh, wow.
We have to call a surgeon in and call your parents. And the surgeon was a fella who I became very good friends with years later, Harry Schmidt, who I played golf with at Walnut Hills and was a neighbor of. And he operated on me at Olin Health Center.
Wow.
And I was in there for, 2 or 3 days. And so I missed finals week that week. So I had to take those classes over.
Wow. Yeah. And otherwise, the surgery went well.
Yes.
And so, did you know the Scofuses before you came here? I mean,
No.
just because they're Greek?
I didn't even know them when I was going to their bar.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to tell them who I was. For all I knew,
You were drinking underage.
Yeah.
Tell me what underage meant in '65. Couldn't you drink at 18?
No, you had to be 21.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
And so you graduated in '69, and then what is your plan?
Well, I had been admitted to Detroit College of Law
Right.
the year before I graduated
Right.
because I did pretty well on the LSAT. And there was a fellow named Bob Flack who I had met in the dorm, and he left after his junior year and went to DCL. But to be honest with you, I was having such a great time.
Right.
So I stayed and got a degree, and then I went to DCL.
And how long were you there?
I was there for 1 school year.
And what happened?
My first term in law school, I got 2 Fs, 2 Ds, and a C. So I was below a 1 point. But back then, it was all essays.
Right.
And I didn't get the results until April.
So you're in the
Finals
second.
were coming up in June.
Right.
So I really busted it, and I ended up getting a 3-point the second term, but I was 2 honor points short of a 2-point, which was absolutely the cutoff.
Right.
So I'm out. I'm suspended. So
Are you single at this time?
yes, immediately I get contacted by my draft board,
Right.
and I had a knee operation too when I was a junior, and
Because in '65 they're still doing the draft, right? For Vietnam.
absolutely.
And you get deferred because you're in college, right?
Yeah, but now I've graduated from college.
Yeah. And law school defers you?
Yes.
Okay.
So I go down to Fort Wayne in Detroit, and you go down there in the summertime, and you're wearing nothing but your shoes, your socks, and your underpants. And you're walking from station to station. And you had taken some written examinations to check on your cognitive ability. And I went through the orthopedic wing, and I had this big scar on my knee. But the orthopod checking me said, "You're fine." So now I'm checking out. I'm with the last doctor possible.
Right.
And he moves my leg back and forth, and I had quite a bit of crepitus in my knee that had been operated on. And he said, "You're not going anywhere." So I said, "So what does that mean?" He said, "Take this piece of paper up those stairs to that office. They will contact your draft board, and you're going to be whatever, 4F, 1Y, whatever it was."
You must have been a Greek doctor.
Oh, he didn't know my name. So then I'm home, and I got nothing to do. Well, Judge Otis got me a job working in the Genesee County Prosecutor's office.
Oh, really? And who was the prosecutor then?
Bob Leonard.
And what are you doing?
Great guy. I ran the cooperative reimbursement program, which was a federal funded to get child support,
Oh, okay.
to reimburse the state for people who were on ADC.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I did that, and then in 1972, I go to a convention in Atlanta, Georgia, and I see this brunette across the dance floor.
Yeah.
And I asked this guy, I said, "Who's that? Who's that woman?" He said, "She happens to be my distant cousin." I said, "I want to meet her." So
What kind of convention is this?
It's called the AHEPA,
Like a Greek?
American Hellenic Educational Progressive Association, and they have a yearly convention. And so I go over, and I dance some Greek dances with her. I ask her if she wants to get a drink. We go to the bar, and I had been drinking before I got there. So I get a drink. She gets a glass of wine or something, and I said, "Do you have the curse?" She had a long dress on. And she knew what that meant, which meant fat ankles. So she hiked up her skirt, and I said, "Oh, you don't have the curse." So then we got married about 10 months later.
Were you living at home?
Yes.
So you're living at home, you're working for the prosecutor's office, and you decide to go to Atlanta for a Greek convention.
For a week.
Wow.
So she was teaching school. She had just finished her first year in Erie, Pennsylvania. So we got engaged. We got married in June.
You leave Atlanta, she goes to Pennsylvania, you go back to Flint, and
Then I start driving back and forth.
what are you doing? You're writing letters?
Hell no.
So you call her on the phone?
Absolutely.
Landline, and there's no answering machines, and
No,
you just got to hope she answers, right?
And she's calling me too, by the way.
Yeah, sure.
And so I've been putting on the same green for 53 years.
Right. And so you get married how long?
52 years now.
Wow, that's incredible.
So anyway, in the winter, Cooley Law School started in January.
Of what, 72?
73,
73.
night school.
Right.
But they wouldn't accept me because they were trying to get accredited, and I was in bad standing at DCL.
Higher Learning Commission.
So
right?
they would not take me. Well, ultimately, they did. My boss, Bob Leonard, Judge Otis and some other people contacted President and Dean Thomas Brennan,
Tom Brennan, right?
and I got admitted. So when he got married, we moved to East Lansing.
Okay.
She got a job at East Lansing High School, and I started law school. And they started at that time right around Labor Day. Well, a couple days after I start, my mother calls me. She said, "You've got a letter here from DCL." I said, "Well, open it." So she opens it. She said, "You've been readmitted."
Wow.
So now what do I do? Do I commute from Lansing to Detroit every day?
Yeah, because she's working and she has a good job.
Right. Or do I start fresh at this unaccredited law school, which I decided to do?
And that would have been on the building on Grand, right?
Yes. Yep.
And a one building operation, and probably 30 students to a class or something like that.
Yeah, there was a total of maybe 60 students, you're right, in that second class.
And you were considered the second class.
First class started in January at night.
Okay. And was Diane Bernick in that class?
No.
Okay. And who else was in that class? Do you remember anybody?
Barry Devine, Claude Thomas, guy named Robbie Horand, Bob Barley, whose father owned Capital Betting here in town. We were in the same study group.
A lot of people were Lansing people just kind of going to law school as a second profession, right?
Absolutely.
Or some people.
Absolutely.
And you have this opportunity to go down to DCL, which at the time was a prominent law school especially in the Detroit community, right?
Right.
But you decide to give this give it a chance, right?
I figured the other option was do well there,
right,
and then transfer.
Right.
And maybe my wife can get a teaching job, although they were very difficult to get. And the way that she got her teaching job at East Lansing was really wild.
Right.
She's applying all summer, and every school in the area is saying we're not hiring anybody. It was during the war. I mean, during the Vietnam War.
Right.
So they used to send a newsletter out. So she calls me at the prosecutor's office, and she's crying. She said, "I just got their newsletter. They hired 6 new people." I said, "This is stupid." So I called superintendent's office. I forget his name now.
From the
The East Lansing School District.
from the Genesee County Prosecutor's Office.
And I say, "This is James Heos
But
from the Genesee County Prosecutor's
But
Office."
they don't have caller ID at the
They
time.
put me straight. Well, that's where I did work.
Yeah.
And this is before cell phones. And they put me straight through Malcolm Katz. So I want to know how she can become a permanent sub or any ideas he's got.
Right.
So he's talking to me for a while, and he says, "I can't talk anymore. One of our teachers quit at the high school, and I got to go to a meeting to fill it." I said, What area?" He says, "Social studies." I said, "That's what my wife teaches." He said, "Have her here in 10 minutes." So I call her up. I said, "Get dressed, go there," and she got hired that day.
Wow.
The students came the next day.
Some people are lucky their whole life like that, right?
This was pretty lucky.
Yeah. So
Although I like to think we made our own break on that.
yeah. So you're what's law school like?
Well, I'm taking a lot of the classes that I already had taken,
Right.
so I did very well.
It's the Socratic method, though, and
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're trying to become like a law school, even though they have, it's really just from the scratch, right?
Absolutely. Joe Reed was my professor in property, first and second terms.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Joe Reed is a longtime prominent lawyer in Lansing.
And a good friend.
And did you start making connections in the legal community?
No, I didn't, but periodically we would go to the Coral Gables for dinner.
Right.
And Alex Vanis clearly knew we were Greek.
Mm-hmm.
And he says to me one day, this is like the end of the first term. He says, "You want to get a clerk's job?" I said, "Yeah, where?" He says, "Frank Kelly comes in here all the time. Let me talk to him." So about 4 days later, I get a call from the AG's office.
Right.
So I go to work there.
In the 70s.
Yeah. In January of 74.
And so you're going to law school and working at the Attorney General's
I
office.
went to law school in the morning.
Right.
All afternoon, worked at the AG's office.
And study at night.
Yep.
No kids.
No children.
Wife's working.
Right.
Do you have any money?
Hell no.
Broke.
Well, I mean, we're living, she was making, I think she was making $9,000 a year, and I was making 20 hours a week at the AG.
My dad tells a story of how.
Oh, I also had your father for criminal law.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
How was that? Criminal practice or criminal law?
Both.
Yeah.
He was great. And he also became a good friend.
Yeah. What, you graduate in 76, 75, 76?
I wanted to graduate early
Yeah, of
and
course.
take the July bar in 75. But Brennan said, no, I want everybody to graduate
In 3 years. In this.
at the same time.
Right.
So,
Graduate with your starting cohort, right?
well, no, I moved up. I graduated with the first class.
Oh, okay.
And so I took the February 76 bar exam along with all the other Cooley people.
And was that in Detroit or was it here?
Took it at the Civic Center.
Right. And did you pass?
No.
You don't pass.
But back then, you could appeal and you could see your answers and
Right.
and they gave you the model answer.
Right.
So I go in, I'm looking at my essays, and the graders, maybe it was one grader, they're putting in the margin next to your answer the number of points you get
Right.
on each issue. And then at the bottom, they'd tally them up, and that would be your score on that question. Well, whoever might have been a great lawyer, but he couldn't add. So I'm looking at my score. I should have 5 more points. I only missed by half a point.
Right.
So I go to the Supreme Court. I said, clearly, this is a clerical error.
Right.
Why do I have to appeal this? Well, let's get back with you. They get back with me and they tell me, no, you have to appeal it. Oh, my God. So I worked on an appeal. And then I ended up writing appeals for people that had problems subsequently. And anyway, I got the results back, and they said, "Oh no, clearly you passed the bar."
So you actually passed,
Yes.
but they told you failed.
Yes, but then I did pass when I
Right.
got
But
my
then you appealed
appeal
it.
back.
Your first case.
Yeah, correct.
Your first big case. And
And I went to work I was sworn in front of Judge Otis, who was a circuit judge
Right.
at the time in Genesee County, and I went to work for Peter Houck in the city attorney's office.
And so, I knew Peter as a prosecutor, but he must have started as a city attorney.
Well, he started in the AG's office,
Oh, but then went to the city
went
attorney.
to the city.
And I know that Mike Kavanaugh was there for a while too, right?
Yeah, he was there before me.
Okay. And tell me what that's like.
I was in charge of the ordinance work.
Right.
So I had 2 law clerks, and they were both fellas that I had started law school with, but they were on
Behind
time.
you. They were behind you. But you're now in downtown Lansing, right?
Right.
And you're meeting people, and
Yes.
you're in the courthouse,
Yes.
right? You're in City Hall.
And I'm going to court.
You're going to court, and you're meeting, a whole host of characters, right? Even though you're working for the city, you can see people from the prosecutor's office and
Yes.
all the big civil cases, and John Collins, and the people at Foster Swift and Fraser Tabilcock. I mean, you're a social guy, right?
I guess so.
Yeah, tell me who was on that district bench, if you remember.
Terry Clem, Pat Cherry,
Judge Wood,
Jim Wood.
Jack Davis.
No, Jack came later. Gripe.
But that's on the 6th floor of City Hall, right?
Yes,
And so that's where you're going there every day.
every day.
And at the time,
And I'm trying all the jury cases. The clerks can do the non-jury work.
and at the time, there was also the circuit courts on the mezzanine level, right?
Yes.
And you're probably not getting over there too much, but
No,
maybe once
not
in
at
a
all.
while.
Nah,
You're
not-
not doing civil
not
defense
really.
work for the city.
Not really. The only circuit court case I had was a motion for summary disposition by the Lansing firefighters, and it was appealed,
Okay.
and we lost in the trial level. So they asked me to handle the appeal, which I did, and then I argued and I won.
In front of who?
I forget who was on the Court of Appeals bench at that point.
The circuit court, right?
No.
Oh,
Court of Appeals. No.
Yeah.
And I think it's in volume 141.
There you go. So, so you're meeting people and you're beginning to,
Yeah.
become a lawyer. And how long are you at the city attorney's office?
Well, Peter, I was making $12,000 a year. I started at 9, but within a couple months I was making 12.
Right.
Peter Houck gets elected that November to be the prosecutor.
Right.
He wants me to come with him to the Ingham County prosecutor, but I was going to take a $4,000 pay cut.
Yeah, you can't afford to do
So
that.
it was silly. So, and we were starting to build a house. So
In East Lansing, or
yes, and so I turned him down. But a couple years later, I called him and I said, "Look it," and I was doing zoning work and
Right.
ordinance stuff, and
city council?
yeah, occasionally. And I said, "I'm ready." I said, "Can you pay me what I'm making?" Which at that point was like 22,000. And he said, "No, but I'll be able to pay you that in about 3 months. I have to pay you like 17." So I went with the promise that I would be in court a lot.
Right.
And he
Doing felony work. And,
Yeah, he certainly lived up to that.
And when would that have been?
78.
78. So tell me, was Joel on city council, Joel Ferguson, when you were
No,
there?
he was gone.
Yeah, okay.
He was gone when I was in the city attorney's office.
Did you know Fred Abood at the time? And
Oh, yeah, I met-
Dick Abood? and
Absolutely. They used to
Camille?
come in the office for pretrials.
Tell me who your mentors were then.
Well, your father was one. Jim Theophilus, certainly. Judge Theophilus.
A
He
Greek.
came a Greek.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Who else can I? Well, I'll always be indebted to Tom Brennan for starting the law school.
Right.
So those are the people that I initially looked up to.
Who are your social friends that you're hanging out with? 'Cause
Just guys that I had gone to school with and undergrad that were still living in
Because
the area.
you're not from here,
No.
and you met your Michigan State people, and really you could have gone anywhere, and you didn't have to stay here. And
Except my wife had a teaching
she
job.
had a teaching job, but I mean, there's a lot of things you could have done with the law once you get the law degree.
Yes,
but you
correct.
sort of dig in, right?
Yeah, and I had a job offer to join Shaheen in Flint.
Bill Shaheen,
Yes,
yeah.
and his father.
And when would that have been?
When I got out of law school,
So 77.
76.
Yeah, was Mike Shaheen was probably left by then, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
Shaheen Chevrolet.
yes, they had left.
Yeah,
So anyway, I turned that job down because again, my wife
Right.
had a job, and instead I took Peter's offer to join the city attorney's office.
and so tell me what that's like.
And I
being
liked living in East Lansing.
you're in the shadows of Michigan State.
Yeah, and my wife liked living in East Lansing.
And 78, Judd is the basketball coach, right?
Lived around the corner from me.
Yeah.
On our new house, the
Yeah.
house we built.
And Tom Izzo isn't here yet.
No.
But tell me what kind of cases you're trying in the prosecutor's office.
I was doing a lot of exam work, preliminary exam work, and I had some felonies. My first felony trial was in front of the late Robert Holmes Bell. It was a rape case, and jury was out 12 minutes.
Wow.
I forget the name of the gentleman who was the defense lawyer. He handled tons of criminal stuff, appointment work. And about, I don't know, I'd been in the prosecutor's office 11 months, and I get a call from Bill Kritzelis,
Another group.
Church, Weibel, Kritzelis, Anderson, and Robinson.
And that was at the airport at the time, right?
Yes. Earlier in the day, I was going up the escalator, and Dick Robinson was coming down, and he says, "Bill called you yet?" And I said, "No." So we're past. Well, Bill called me that night. He said, "Come over to the house."
Is he living in the neighborhood?
He's living in White Hills.
Oh, and you're not there yet.
No, I'm in Carriage Hills, across from Walnut Hills. And so I go over to his house. I'm there for, gosh, an hour and a half or something. I said, "Look, Bill, I got to leave. I got to be before Mike Harrison tomorrow
Right.
on a bunch of stuff." And he said, "Well, you going to come to work or not?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I'm offering you a job." I said, "Geez, thanks." He said, "What are you making?" So I tell him. He says, "We'll match it, and you'll be getting bonuses and increases. But I want you to start next week." I said, "Bill, I can't do that. I got a docket." So I go in and see Peter the next day. And Peter says, "Tell him to wait a week." I said, "Should I take it?" He said, "Absolutely. They're really busy." So I took it. And then Bill became my mentor.
Where were you getting the case? Where were they getting the cases from?
I have no clue. But there was a steady stream
Really?
we were doing a lot of township work at the time.
That was Robinson's work, right?
And Church and Weibel.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think we had 12 townships.
Yeah, that's
So
a lot
as
of
a
work.
result, they became very close with police officers.
Right.
So that was probably a feeder. Police officers policing an accident would
Referring
tell the
case,
injured
yeah.
people, call Kritzelis.
Yeah.
So that's where I went. And at the time, there were, it was Church, Weibel, Kritzelis, Anderson, Robinson, Tom Hay,
Right.
and Nancy Watch.
Yeah. All in the same building.
Yes, at the airport.
And that was before they did the boulevard or whatever you want to call it. And you guys were right there on the main entry to
Right.
the airport.
And Bill and Tom Hay and I were in the basement with the law clerks. And we had a spiral staircase right up to the receptionist's desk. And that continued,
So tell me what year you leave the prosecutor's office.
79.
79. And so, you know, can you give me any flavor of what it was like to practice law then? Because I kind of remember it a little bit, but that mezzanine in City Hall was just a completely different experience.
Absolutely. Opened up a whole new window.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't believe how many cases I was given 40, 50 cases right away to work on.
Right.
Because Rob Bell had told Bill that I do very well in front of juries. So I was given a lot of cases, and back then there was a heavy motion practice, and I mean, I was in court clearly every Wednesday, motion day, but I was taking 4, 5, maybe 6, 7 depositions every week.
Doctors and witnesses.
Doctors and witnesses.
Yeah.
So I became pretty well versed in medical area.
Medical. You were doing PI work, right?
I was doing PI work, and I about
Mainly auto, but were you doing some med mal?
yes, 2 years in, I took a medical malpractice case, and I drafted a complaint and filed it in my name, and I ended up taking it right to the courtroom before it settled.
Really?
Yeah.
And so
It
you
was
know,
it was a toxemia of pregnancy.
it was a
case.
different era back then where, you know, there was plenty of work.
Plenty of work. There were no Detroit law firms in the area either. So the people I was against were all living in Lansing, the defense lawyers.
And Cooley was, you know, not a significant player affecting the economy or the market because they weren't producing as many lawyers.
Clearly,
yeah.
yes. Yes.
I mean, they were producing lawyers, but you know, it wasn't like it got to be in the 90s.
You know, the man, God rest his soul, Bill McKay, who was a neighbor of yours,
Yes.
he's always razzing me about going to Cooley Law School.
Right.
So Tom Anderson gives me a case. My client's name was Jack Burns. It was a car accident case.
Right.
It was merely chiropractic.
Meaning
And
after the accident,
he treated with a chiropractor.
he only treated with
That was it. And Bill McKay didn't offer a penny. The policy limits were $50,000. So he tried the case for 2 days, maybe 3 days. The jury comes back, finding negligence, and awards me $50,000. And Mike Harrison, the judge at the time, says, it's like they knew what the policy limits were. And then with interest,
Right.
I got more than that from the carrier. And afterwards, we're packing up to leave the courtroom. I said to Bill, I said, you know what? I don't think that jury cared that I went to Cooley Law School. He had gone to Michigan, you know.
Right. I mean, back then, in the practice, and I saw a little bit of this, but they didn't have deadlines when a case had to be resolved. Yeah, right?
Correct.
You could adjourn a case, and you could, and the courts were overwhelmed, and it was, I think, correct me, but they really didn't have case evaluation.
No, I'm trying to think of when that came into being, but when it did come into being, I was on a 5-person panel selecting the case evaluators for the county. It was me, Pete Dunlap, Mary Ann Samper, George Sinus, and I forget who the 5th was. It might have been Judge Schoenberger, who was then doing divorce work.
Right, but I guess my point is that before that, the only way to settle the case was really to call the other lawyer up, right?
Correct.
And it did create a different environment because
Absolutely.
Number one, the cases could often sit in front of the judge, and the judge was under no pressure to bring it to trial, or if he wanted, he could pressure the lawyers. We're trying this case, right?
Ray Hotchkiss.
What about him?
Oh, he would apply pressure like crazy.
Would he?
Oh, my God. He never wanted to try any cases.
And-
God rest his soul.
And do you think it makes a difference that anybody could go back into chambers? Like,
you could go, well, you never went alone.
no, but you could, like, I would deliver in the late 80s, I would deliver papers over, and if it was Judge Collette, I would get buzzed in, and he had Faye and Teresa Abraham working there, or Judge Brown did, or whatever, and I would
Right.
hand the papers, and then you could walk through. It was like a Jack and Jill, and it was Coleman's office, and then you could go across, and
Yeah.
Judge Giddings. I'm not saying to have a substantive conversation, but they were much freer at having a
Absolutely.
chambers practice.
Absolutely.
Done.
And given the fact that we were all here, the lawyers,
Yeah,
we could all trust each other.
right,
Whatever you said was your golden rule.
right.
Don't ever try to go back on it. And that changed when the Detroit law firms came in, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Everything, I demanded everything be in writing.
Yeah, that was a different era. How many cases were you trying back then?
Oh, not that many, maybe 2 or 3 a year. But in my biggest years, I had an inventory of 120 cases in litigation.
Yeah,
I had 2 secretaries.
That's a lot of work.
Yep,
That's a lot of work.
but I loved it.
Did you?
Oh, I loved it.
Busy as hell.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Days would fly by, and I'd rather be in court than juggling files at the office.
And really, you're not a doctor, right? By any stretch, but you can talk like a doctor, right?
Yeah.
all the medical terms.
I do, especially the orthopedic
Right.
stuff, because by that time I had 2 or 3 knee operations.
Right. Isn't that almost a requirement if you're going to do PI, is to
Yes.
be able to read the medical records and understand and,
Yes.
and have done, know what a facet rhizotomy is, or what the long-term complications are from a bulging disc or a herniated disc or all that stuff. I mean, that's really in that era, the expertise that you develop, right?
Yes.
And being able to have relationships with all the defense lawyers.
Yeah. That was great.
What who were some of the prominent lawyers on the other side?
Certainly John Collins, Tony Smith.
Foster Swift, right?
No, they didn't do insurance defense work.
No, but Foster Swift was
The
John
law
Collins.
firm.
Yeah.
Yes. And then their underlings. Dave Coe certainly was
Right.
a big guy, but he was doing workers' comp basically. And I didn't do any of that. Tom Anderson did
Right.
that. And Tom Hay did a little bit of it.
Collins was would you say he was like bigger than life or not? I
Well,
mean,
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I remember.
he was a character, right?
Yeah, I mean, Critzelis hires. It was a penal implant case, and Critzelis hires this urologist in North Chicago, up on Lake Michigan, big, huge homes up there, and the dep's going to be Saturday morning. And John was on it, and Dale McKay was on it. He had another defendant. And it was a medical mal case. So the doctor wants me to come to the house the night before. And I come to the house, and they got a huge turkey, and they're all sitting there. And they've got a server. And she's wearing like a tutu. And she's serving everyone. And he asked me if I wanted to eat. I said, no. And he says, take that turkey to the lady. And he says, make turkey salad sandwiches tomorrow for the deposition. And he looks at me and he goes, she'll bring those out about a half hour into the dep. All the blood will rush to their heads and the deps will end. Will rush their stomachs and the depositions will end. No, that's interesting, Doc. So I know I got Collins and Dale McKay, two seasoned lawyers on the other side. So he and I go over some of the file and stuff that night. The next morning I show up, and first thing, John Collins, who is a chain cigar smoker,
Right.
puts a cigar in his mouth. The doctor says, please, no smoking in my house, please. That's fine. Collins just left the cigar in his mouth, didn't light it. So half hour later, in walks Fifi or whatever her name was, and she's got the beautiful serving of turkey salad sandwiches. And the doctor says, lunch is served, gentlemen. And Collins' cigar in his mouth says, not hungry. He said, let's keep going. So we went about 6 more hours.
He was, John Collins, I knew because they had a place up in, I think, Goodhart or Cross Village.
Yes.
And my parents had a place in Lower Shore Drive, and he would stop over with Matt and I can't remember the sister's name, right?
Victoria.
Victoria, right.
His wife's Lori. His wife's Mary.
Yeah, and they would come over, and he was just
Yeah.
He didn't seem. My dad and him seemed to be good friends, but they didn't seem to really be two people you would put together.
I remember they had a divorce case.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I remember that. I was in the office working.
The swords were out.
Yeah.
But my favorite defense lawyer of anybody by far was George Denfield.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a riot. We had a riot handling cases.
And George had a law firm over on.
Denfield, Timmer, and Taylor.
Yeah, was that on Seymour maybe? Or,
Yes.
Yeah.
It's across from the sinus. firm.
Always dressed very nice, impeccable, and
The thing about him, and I'm sure auto owners really appreciated this because that's who he represented, he'd evaluate a case right on the button and make offers of judgment.
Right.
And they were accepted a lot of the time, and the case was over.
Right.
And he was the only lawyer that really used that court rule and hit the button right on the nose every time.
Yeah, well, that's a tool that doesn't really exist anymore, does it?
No, I don't. If it does, I haven't seen it in years.
What did they allow smoking in the courtroom back then?
Oh God, no,
They didn't?
no. I forget the brothers at Fraser Trebilcock, the Townsend brothers.
Yeah.
They were huge PI defense lawyers.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, you're handling cases, right? Trying cases, big
Well-
practice,
Love and life.
right? Decide to have kids.
Had 3.
Is Kelly the oldest?
Kelly's the youngest.
Youngest. So Matt's the oldest.
Matt's the oldest. He's born in 78. Chris is born in 81. Kelly in 84.
So good.
2 of them are lawyers,
Right.
and my son-in-law is a lawyer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, obviously you're raising your kids and they're seeing you every day practicing law, right?
Yeah.
And you become a pillar of East Lansing, right?
Let's not go crazy.
Well, I mean, at the time, not
Remember, I decided to run for judge, I think, in 89, and I lost by 1,200 votes.
Well, at the time, there was a time where everybody didn't know a lawyer,
Correct.
right? And so, and I think that was really the romantic era for my dad, is that there were a couple criminal defense lawyers in town. It was Leo Farhead and my dad, and
Yep.
at some point Frank came along, but they were just few and far between, and then pretty soon everybody did.
Jimmy.
Jimmy Theopolis, right? And I don't not discounting him, but he did a lot of work with my dad. They did a lot of work together.
But he's not in the book.
Theopolis isn't?
No, and I am.
Really? That's surprising, because I spent a lot of time with Jimmy Theopolis.
No, check the book out. He's not there. I've been razzing him about that for years.
Wow, I didn't know. Maybe that's why he's kind of soured
I
on
tell
him.
I said, Freddie, right in front of Jimmy. I said, how come Jimmy was omitted from the book?
That's a wow. He didn't make too many mistakes, but that was
I loved it.
they
I used to see your father. Back then, a bunch of us would go to the downtown Y in the morning at 6 o'clock.
right, George Abraham.
And I used to see your father there every morning. We just laughed like crazy after I worked out. And George Abraham and Billy Lett's Bridal Fashion, whose real first name is Gerald. Oh, God, we just had a riot there. There were a bunch of lobbyists. Frank Kelly would come in almost every morning.
Right.
He'd be wearing a 3-piece suit. He'd take the jacket off. He'd take the vest off. He'd take his shirt and tie off. And then he'd get on the stationary bike, work up a sweat, towel off, get dressed, and go to the AG's office.
Right. Why not?
Oh, God. Those are the days, man. Laugh.
Different
funny.
era. Money was coming in hand over fist, right?
Yeah, but the verdicts today, the settlements today, they're enormous compared to what we would evaluate a case.
Thank God.
That's why you never ask me what my opinion is on value.
Thank God they've gone up.
Way up.
It's been an hour.
Yeah, it's been more than an hour.
Yeah. We're gonna have to finish this another time.
We're going to finish it now.
No, not today.
Do I have to join the Screen Actors Guild?
Yeah. Yeah.